pan, tilt, push, truck. These are not the terms I'm referring to when I talk about camera moves that will make visual effects harder. Well, not necessarily. In the world of visual effects and filmmaking, every step involved costs both time and money. The more streamlined and efficient we can make our shooting process, the more we reduce unnecessary expenses and ultimately keep our VFX budget in check. And streamlining things for VFX can even begin with how you move your camera, which is why it's so important for you to understand these 4 levels of camera movement that can greatly influence your VFX budget. Level 1. Lock it off. This means no camera movement. Hell, even better if nothing moves and we're just working on a single still image, but let's not be unreasonable, you still got a story to tell. Locking off the camera means there's no camera movement to track. Therefore, one less step in the VFX process. Remember, saving time equals saving. Level 2, the floating head. If you want the camera to track the movement of a scene, keep the camera on sticks or a hi-hat and follow the action by panning and tilting as smoothly as possible. Camera tracking will still be necessary, but won't add much more time to the post-process. Slow and steady are ideal, whereas fast and jerky will increase the difficulty level and take more time to track the scene. Even if you're going handheld, keeping the camera as steady as possible will help avoid a difficult track. Level 3. The smooth operator. If you need to move the camera with the action of the scene, keep it as steady as possible. Camera stabilization tools such as Steadicams, gimbals, motion control, and even track and dolly can help mitigate the challenges associated with camera and object tracking. Remember, keep it steady. Anytime you move the camera through space as opposed to panning and tilting, more advanced tracking techniques will be needed, thus taking more time, therefore taking more. Level 4. The run and gun. This isn't so much a single movement, but rather a style choice that I would advise you to avoid at all costs if you're the budget-minded filmmaker and you don't have the time or resources to sink into your VFX budget. While the rough and shaky camera movements are still possible to track, they can lead to a far more laborious and costly tracking process, and can definitely eat up a significant amount of time. And what does time equal? Bonus tip: adjust your shutter accordingly. Movement equals motion blur, and motion blur can confuse tracking software, leading to more manual fine-tuning and labor costs. By reducing motion blur, you make tracking more manageable. If motion blur is important to you, it's easier to add or enhance it in post than it is to try tracking a blurry shot. Don't paint yourself into a corner. Make your life a little easier while still telling the story you want to tell. By planning your shots out in advance with these 4 levels of camera movement in mind, you'll ultimately make post-production much more manageable and far less of a headache. And finally, if you're adding VFX to a moving shot, check out this video, where I share a few of my go-to tracking markers for camera tracking. Until next time, I've been Jake, and always remember to reframe what's possible.